Welcome in, everybody. It's Wednesday night. It's 9 p.m. It's time for the Phil Townsend
Huh?
to be present. you know, uh, Phil, it's been an exciting week. We got games to talk about. We got players to talk about, and the truth behind some of this high school basketball, man. You know, uh, big week, big performances. We're gonna get into. But before we go any further, I need everyone to hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell us who you're pulling for. Help us drive the algorithm, the almighty algorithm. But let's go, let's go. Phil, I think we're gonna, the biggest storyline from this past weekend, man, has to be, and it's gonna make some people mad, but Amari Guerra over the weekend he faced off against Justin. Uh, he faced off against Steele, came short. But then Wagner, like he faced off against every point guard nearby in the city except uh, Talon Todd. And they weren't in the tournament. Uh, but man,
Would have been good though.
it would have been good. It would have been good, And I was excited about it because, you know, we've got some good floor generals in the 2-1-0. We really do. But to watch, we never get a chance to watch everybody play against each other uh, because of classifications or taps or any combination of reasons. But in that one weekend, man, we got to see a lot of people play a lot of different matchups that we really normally don't get. And it was just really, really nice to see. And there were teams from all over, man. Friendswood came down with Chase Richardson. He's a high level product. But it was a go ahead, Phil.
Well, Kev, see, the thing is, I had some surgeries, a couple of surgeries, and I didn't get to make it out to the games with you and stuff. So I'm going to want to ask you a couple of questions here in just a little bit about what you saw.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I know you like asking questions, so let's just jump right in.
Okay. Tell you what, let's start with who was the it's not a surprising thing, but kind of like the best individual performance that you saw, or just one that not necessarily the best, but one that caught your attention.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what. Sotomayor has a sophomore, about 6'3". His name's Colin Jackson, and it wasn't a name that I had on any list of mine. But watching Brennan play Soto, uh, Brennan's got that damn near collegiate lineup in high school. Uh, but Colin Jackson was not detoured. We talk about teams taking on the personalities of their coaches, right? And Coach Joseph is like that. And Kylan was really attacking the glass, rebounding out of space. He was contesting, blocking shots. And man, he really left a huge, huge impression.
What's his position?
He's more of a wing,
Uh-huh.
a wingish. I mean, like he played on the wing.
Yeah.
They don't have a. Trying to remember, they don't have a true big man like they had in the past with Roger and the trail from the past. But man, they played hard, and there's a few other guys we'll talk about off of that lineup. That just were relentless, no matter the score. You know, um, and I guess I'm not surprised because I was telling you earlier, like we expect Delano Tarpley at 7 foot to put up big numbers. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I wasn't impressed with his numbers, even though he had 22 points and I don't know how many rebounds. There were little things in the game that he did that I haven't seen him do before. And I know he works a lot with Felix over there with Future and Brennan, but he was very patient in the post. I remember there was one time where he looked, and then pounded, drop step, and finished. You know, where you headed, Phil?
Oh, Kev, you froze me right there because a year ago I mentioned about the importance of inside play and still having the drop step, and oh my God, I got laughed off the show because everybody was like, "Oh, you waiting on Magic, Kareem them to come back?" And I'm like, "No, it's just a great move." And so to hear you mention that, I feel redeemed.
Yeah, and he's confident with it, because, and I think, we talk about game plans and all this strategy and stuff. And man, Brennan came out, and I wasn't in the huddle, but you could tell they made a concerted effort to get the game going inside. I mean, I think the first play was a lob to Delano, and then a few plays later was another one thrown up to the rim, and those are coming from passes from talent from Isaiah Ward. I think Donnie threw one, and he really got going early, which for a big man is important because it encourages you to keep going.
Right.
But what it does, now all of a sudden you can hear him from the sideline, who's the double man, and Soto had schemed up for it, but all of a sudden the shots from outside started falling, and they were good looks, and one thing that I'll always say is Brennan, I don't think there's a selfish bone in their body on that team. They epitomized team. They've been together forever. So that was that. Now a new component on that team, new to San Antonio with Brennan, but used to play for Future in the past, is Sean Mondragon. He came up from Corpus Christi, Veterans Memorial. Mom, they relocated for work, and he's 6'2", 6'3", real long. Can play some point, can play some two, but he's a defensive menace. That fits right into their pressure style, their scramble, and so he's going to be big for them down the road. I mean, he's big for them now, but we talked about, I don't know if we didn't talk about air, but with Delano coming back, that put everybody at their natural position.
Yeah.
And so it was great to see because, Isaiah Ward did some great job rebounding, outlet, run the floor. You saw Isaiah, I'm going to call him Zeke. That's how I know him. But Zeke would shoot the three very efficiently. Go short corner, difficult shots. Donovan Chris getting out in the open floor.
Man,
oh, I know, man. And people don't respect that he does a pretty good job in defensive transition. His exceptional length and athleticism, But I would be remiss if I didn't mention my man, Time Todd. Time is back from football.
Well, you mentioned him last week and the week before.
I know, we're just gonna keep mentioning it. I love that dude. and it's fun because sometimes we carry on the conversation during breaks in the game. But I mean, just a tremendous athlete, to be that dominant on the football field, and he still gassed a little bit because you got to get in basketball shape. But
Right.
yeah, I like seeing him there. And then, when we're talking about, I did want to make sure we talked about the footwork with Delano. Kept the ball high. He would get a rebound, he'd go right back up. And those are some things that, as a coach, you're looking for, because those are difficult. They're easy to teach, but they're difficult to make a discipline.
Yeah, but it shows he's listening and putting it to action. That's the good thing about it.
Yeah, but we'll come back to them later on, man. But I just want to talk about, out of 31 teams that came to that South Sand tournament, and that's a pretty big tournament. That we had two, Antonian and Steele, make it to the finals. And if we're talking about teams that maybe overachieve, I hate to say they're overachieving,
Right.
but they have a very young roster in Antonian. But they gotta, Amari is a motor, and it's hard to not follow that lead. And Marshall Hicks is such a fundamentally sound senior leader.
Got that name in.
If there's a loose ball, them two are gonna fight over it, But they have some, Edison Onway probably played one of his better couple of games. He's got a solid 3-pointer, but he will pump fake and take 2 dribbles to the rim, or take 1 dribble in a jump shot. But I think Villanueva is a sophomore, and he spells Amari at times, and I saw him in that Allen game when Amari went out with foul trouble, and he really stepped up. And he's quick, he's fast. He's not as polished, but he shouldn't be yet. But he's got a strong handle. And but man, I think Steele and them had a great battle because it went back and forth. But I think Steele has just a little bit deeper bench with game experience, because they have more seniors and upperclassmen. But, I think one guy, there's 2 guys I want to mention. Dre Anthony is a senior. He's number 23. You don't know him unless you watch him play. Like, he's not one that gets a lot of headlines. He just does the work, kind of like Marshall, And I was so happy for that young man because he wound up winning MVP of that tournament.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think as many people that should are giving him his due, because he does the little things, he does them well, he runs the floor, and he's just part of that senior cohesiveness that Steele has. But I'll mention him again, my man Chris Howell. I love his last name, but 6'3", a wiry. I don't think you realize that he's 6'3", but we talk about it being chaos when he steps on the court, because he always seems to be deflecting, causing turnovers that are leading to easy baskets, and I'll be looking forward when Jamil gets back. But Logan Gonzalez from the outside, Maurice Eddy with his ability, and Cherry. You know, that young man, 6'5", bouncy, and shoots the ball well. And I was telling someone the other day, like, they don't have any. They have uh, Logan and Jamil signed Division two, and then they got quite a few kids that are Division three or lower Division two, um, but they're all college bodies, you know, in some way, shape, or form. And I just think that over time that comes through, and so it'll be interesting, man. Um, if we see that matchup again that we saw in the quarterfinals, semifinals, regional finals, I'm not sure what it was. Uh, so, but man, it was a hell of a game. You know, I got to watch some of it. Um, but both of those teams, man. You know, I talked to Coach Burmeister before on Friday, and I kind of went up behind him. I was like, "Hey, man, be honest with me. Did you see this coming?" And he's like, "What?" I mean, I said, "You went toe to toe with Allen and had Allen beat, except for a buzzer beater, and here you are beating all the public schools, you know, that are uh, different levels." And he looked me dead in the face and said, "Yeah, I expected it." You know, so hey, you know, between uh, him, Coach Burmeister, Crocker, and Adam, uh, he's a new addition. I can't really say his last name, but he played at LSU, man. That's all that matters, you know. Uh, so they're doing a good job, man. The guys are playing off 2 feet and they're playing tough.
Can I stop you right there, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Would you please explain to the listening audience what you mean when you say playing off of 2 feet? And I have a follow-up to that.
Well, you know, of course you can have your layups, but it's off 1 foot. You're up in the air and you don't really have a whole lot of balance. But when you come to a jump stop, it's easy to get in a triple threat position. You're more powerful going up. You're able to square your body. And, you know, like we said before, Villanova won 2 national championships with the emphasis being playing off 2 feet. And now it's kind of trickled down, you know, so that's playing off 2 feet. Man, I like it a lot. And I see a lot of coaches going back to that.
Yeah, because you answered my follow-up and going, and it gives you that ability to go either direction too, as well as good pivoting. So yeah. So remember, let's get back playing off of 2 feet.
Yes. You know, and I was fortunate enough to get to meet Jay Wright. That
I
head
love me
coach.
some Jay Wright.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, and there was another matchup. You know what? I want to, before we move on from Soto Brennan, there's a point guard with Soto, Bussy, plays number 1. But man, he really attempts to keep the pressure, the gas pedal going. And he's another one that doesn't back down. And then there's a young man, number 15. His name is Jack or Jake, but he has an interesting last name. But his Instagram is like Jack Levi, so we'll go with that. Man, he's tough. You know, he's another sophomore, class of 28. Shoots the ball well, doesn't back down, and he plays with future. You know, so there's something about that future program. You know, they keep putting out good, tough talent. You know,
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about the other matchup that night was Taft and Marshall. You know, I think I didn't know really much about Jason Vidori.
For
But I
who?
started out for Marshall. He's a 5'10" point guard, class of 27. He wasn't who I went there to watch, but he was who I was tweeting about when I left. Just he talked to people around the city, and we call it true point guard. He's a lot like Red in the sense that he looks to pass first, looks to get others involved, gets a lot of paint touches, and with Jason's paint touches, man, he's looking to kick out, and he's got a shooter on the outside named Levi. He's a senior, and man, he shoots the ball well, and he's in that situation. He was open a lot because Jason can get in the paint and score, But what I liked about him, man, he's got a little sauce with it. He was like, bounce, bounce. Next thing you know, he's got a left-hand pass across to the diagonal, right on the shooter's pocket, man. And, quick release. They've got another young man, JP, who attacks. He attacks pretty well. He's a
Is
senior.
that what you see?
No,
Oh,
we're gonna leave off who I went to see because
okay.
I've had conversations with them
Oh,
since.
gotcha.
And I'm gonna tell people right now, you gotta always be ready because you never know who's gonna come to watch. And this time with me, you might get a second opportunity. But I swear on my mom's life, if it's a college coach and you play like that, you're probably not getting another look. And I'm gonna say it now. Guys have to play harder. They have to play harder. We've been on Twitter talking about what defense really means and what it looks like. And, I describe it as protecting, do anything. But, man, you can really demoralize an opponent if they can't score. You take away their morale, you take away the spirit. And so, man, I'm thinking about making, defensive player of the week or something and calling them the soul snatchers, man. I made it a deal. I'm not gonna use profane language on the Twitter, but man, I get excited about defense. I don't know if it's because the way we came up playing the game, but kids just don't play hard and they think they're playing hard.
Yeah, Kat, if I could just say something on that, when you said that about, you never know who's watching, right? Now, if I could just say this to any player, especially if you're an offensively gifted player and it's not working for you on that offensive end that night, there's always room to hustle and play defense and play hard. Because look, a coach might have come there to see see your scoring ability, but if he sees you do the other thing, there are other things out there for you to do: hustle, rebound. Look, they know if they came there to see you scoring, they know that's something that you can do, and they'll relate to that being an off night. Put that effort tenfold into playing defense, hustling, rebounding, doing other things. Now they see the versatility. So all I'm saying is, you never know who's watching, and you may as well show them all the things that you're capable of doing instead of just maybe that one thing that you may think or some others may think is what sets you apart.
And before we came on air, we were talking about teams that we expected to be a lot stronger and that are looking a little shaky. And, I talked about Wagner.
Last week, too. And your thing is, look, Wagner, Cav has faith in you.
But, and I don't care about the record. They're 4-8. So they were 1-5. They're 4-8 now. So that means they're like 3-3 the last 6 ball games. My issue is they're not playing to the Wagner standard that we've come to expect. Hair on fire, balls blazing defense, and until that happens, they're going to struggle. And you can't struggle in that district because I'm going to tell you why. They lost the first game to New Braunfels. Not devastating because I think New Braunfels is going to be a playoff team. They moved down from 6A to 5A, and they're pretty stout. And they got Air Force Shawnee and another one, Malachi, who's going to be, I think, a Division I player. All right, so count them out, Phil. You got New Braunfels ranked. You got Alamo Heights ranked. You got Piper ranked. You got Wagner that should still be ranked.
23.
Then you have Veterans Memorial, who's always tough. Then you got Bernie Champion. Then you have Bernie. All right. There's only 4 spots, bro, in the playoffs. And that's saying that Tybee and Smithson Valley don't figure it out. So you can't get buried on the record. Now, I'm going to show you another little thing. Guys, I don't think they understand. You never know who's watching, but if you wind up on somebody else's highlight reel, man, and I'm not even talking about the highlight. Like the highlight didn't happen on you, but it shows you not running the floor. It shows you not crossing half court. It shows you allowing somebody to throw a lob right over your head, and you do nothing to stop it. This guy had 5 clips, and he was big about posting who they were against because Wagner has a name. But the first thing that caught my eye was, oh man, he didn't run back. Oh man, he didn't run back. Oh man. So it ain't just who's in the stands. The internet is a devil. And you better believe somebody's gonna see it. Because I know I did, and I ain't the brightest person in the world. But yeah, man, I really like that Jason Viduri. I think that you're gonna have a great time when we watch him play again. When your feet get right, because he plays with the pizzazz of fun. Now he plays hard. But in a timeout situation, he's talking, he's leading, and he's just a sophomore. But it was a good weekend. I mean, it was a good, I say weekend because we watched some of that, and in the first games of the year, with district, we talked about the 5A district up there with Alamo Heights and Wagner and all those different pieces. Another district that's going to be a dogfight is that one with Judson. You can count them out again. Judson, Steele, Clemens, and East Central. That's 4. And that's not even counting who else is in that district.
East Central sure looked good, didn't they?
Man.
What?
And you know what? Aiden Oliveras already got his 1,000th point. He played for a while at YMLA, so he put up bigger numbers. But he's in his sophomore or junior year, But yeah, he and Will and that backcourt, man. Melly, he looks real good, you know. But it's gonna be fun, man. There's gonna be some heat in the city, you know. And you know, somebody texted me this question earlier today, and it was, who's gonna be the dark horse come February? And I I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna say Piper, but in saying that, their only loss this year has been to Alamo Heights, who was ranked number 7. You know, so I don't really know if that's a true dark horse. Uh, but you know, it's gonna be interesting, man. Uh, that's for sure, because you know we still have the Johnson Reagan matchup with Mark Anthony and Trey Crump. You know, Ian Joshua and Christian Kelly. I mean, Christian Kelly, 5'11", 6 feet point guard. I could be cheating him some inches, but that Joker is playing very, very well. You know, and I know Gavin Peck out of Bernie Champion. His intent this year was to shoot a higher percentage, and he shot damn near 37% last year from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's gonna be that. You know.
Yeah. Ted, you know, you mentioned just the last bank of teams that you mentioned. We're not calling any names.
Mhm.
Our teams, but there is one player in that bank of names that you named that I would sure like to light a fire under.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that, you know, there's talent there, but there is this fire, this drive that's missing. And I don't know, you know, like who that person is that could whisper in their ear and get it out. You know, that's the
Mhm.
difference between having some team from here pick you and some team from here pick you.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and you know, uh, that's why I've been very much proactive, very much every. I can't say every, but if it's about defense, about playing hard, I promise you, there's a handful of names that I'm not gonna call you out, but I sure as hell am putting it out there, and I know you follow. I know you do, and I know
But
your parents do.
but Kev, the thing is like you just mentioned, all of a sudden that drive, that
Mhm.
energy that we're talking about when the
Yep.
ball comes on the offensive end,
Yep.
it's there. You
Yep.
know, look, all I'm gonna do is tell you it's like an algebraic equation. What you do to this side, do to this side.
You know, so I clipped some of the segments of our show, and that clip of you saying that about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, man, has the most views of a clip in a very long time. So a lot of people really agree with that, you know. Uh, and it's neat, man, because I I get texts and DMs from high school coaches, from college coaches, you know, talking about, man, thanks for saying that, thanks for saying that, because you know, it's weird, man. Like if you tell somebody that, they got two options: they're gonna put it to use, or they're gonna run to somebody else that's not gonna tell them the truth. And unfortunately, that's what's happening. And That's what's going to be the problem. That's going to cost some kids.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, like, all right, so picture all this out. Okay. You had Kingston go to Houston. You had
Right.
go to Texas Tech. All right. So that's some big names. And then you've got Elijah going to Baylor, Trey Clark going to UTA. I'm going to skip some names, not intentionally, but you have 9 guys signed Division One. Well, guess who I'm getting phone calls from now? EYBL Nike teams, you know? And so that was really the intent of why I went to that game, because I'm looking at 28s and 29s.
For
and,
sure.
You know, you didn't do yourself any favors. And the bad part is somebody vouched for you for me to come out there. So I came out there, and ain't no way in hell I'm going to recommend, because then my credibility is going to be shot.
Right.
But no, man, there's people have their eyes here. And the biggest turnoff is that guys think guys are too cool to be desperate. And you know what? That's the big separator when we talk about it ain't for everybody.
Right.
Because if you're a freshman trying to get on the floor at even in high school, you're not going to be counted on the score unless you're that dude. But your fastest way on is to defend the mess out of somebody. And it's even a higher percentage of freshmen sitting on the bench when you're going up in levels. Division 3 to Division 2, Division 2 to Division 1, you know? And it's just interesting, man. And I do think that young man out of Harlan, his success with Peace Jam last year, and I know the Marquardt out at Antonian are some of the higher end 29s right now, you know, but I make it a point not to watch in the middle school ranks.
Right.
I have steadfast on I don't watch until you got varsity film, because that's what translates, you know. But hey, man, you know, we've gone a little bit over our normal time slot, but I thank you for getting on with me, man. I think that I know we're making changes. I know we're doing the right thing, and I know it because some people are doing similar things as we're doing now that hadn't done stuff before, you know. And so, you know, getting phone calls about players, hell, especially with Noble, you know, because it's players that aren't even San Antonio guys. They're people that participated in the Noble, you know. And so that's been pretty cool. Been able to talk a lot about our San Antonio guys. You know, most Division Ones are looking at 27s now, and that's just the way it is. So if you waiting on that D1 call and you ain't got it now as a 26, you might want to start looking at junior college or see what offers you still have, because some of y'all
Don't forget that guy.
Yeah, go find it. Go find that guy. You know. But again, everyone, drive the algorithm. Hit like, subscribe, comment your team. Help us keep growing. Thank you, everyone. And we're out.